What would you do if, in an attempt to bring someone who is dying some peace, you told them a lie, but in so doing, you didn't realize that their spirit wouldn't forgive you? Hello, I'm Cece, and welcome back to the Crucible of Character, where today we have another scary Reddit story. If you enjoyed today's story or any of the other ones, please make sure to like, comment what you'd do differently, or how I can improve my videos, and subscribe for more daily content. With that, today's story is entitled, I'm an ER nurse, and after last night, I have proof that evil exists. And it was posted to the r/no sleep subreddit by Excellent Bear 4753. And it starts like this. Last night, when this woman came into the ER of Riverside General, I didn't think it was anything out of the ordinary. People show up bloody and incoherent all the time. But this woman, Emma, was different. She was wearing a green military jacket, the lining slashed to ribbons as if she'd attacked it with a kitchen knife. She'd fractured 3 ribs and gouged her arms raw, but the dang thing was still on her, clinging like it had been sewn into her skin. I've been a nurse for 14 years. I've seen addicts rip out IVs and men twice my size foam at the mouth. But what Emma said shook me to my core. And for the first time in my life, I believed evil might exist. Blood bubbled from between her teeth, and in a gruff voice that didn't sound like it belonged to her, she said, "James Perry wants to know if Kathy's okay. Tell me she's okay." I'm getting ahead of myself here. I haven't slept in over 24 hours, so you can understand. Roughly a year ago, I was working the graveyard shift. It was 3:15 in the morning, and the doors of the ER flew open. A family of 4 was rushed in, all of them with gunshot wounds. 2 of the 4 family members were already DOA. An old man in his late 70s and a woman in her 40s. The old man was from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. He had shot his whole family. One of the family members was still conscious, a man named Perry. We were trying to stop the bleeding when he gripped my arm and whispered, "Is Kathy okay? Tell me she's okay." Kathy was Perry's wife, and she was already gone. None of the family members lived. No one but me, Perry, and the other medical professionals in that room that morning knew that he had asked me that, and Perry died 30 seconds after I lied to him and told him she was going to make it. So when Emma asked me that same question, yeah, it chilled me to the bone. How could she have known? How did she even know my name? I haven't been able to shake it since. So, once we got Emma sedated and placed her in restraints, I went to the waiting room to let her boyfriend, Ryan, know that Emma was stable. All he asked me was, "Is the jacket off?" It was, and told him as much. We had put it in a hazardous waste bag, which is why it was so much weirder when I went back to her room and the jacket was on the chair next to her. Its sleeve brushed my arm as I stepped closer, sticky with dried blood. I couldn't imagine any of the hospital staff would put a bloodied jacket back in the room. It didn't make any sense. That's when I noticed Emma's eyes were open, like she was staring into my soul. "Tell me what happened to Kathy." Her voice gruff again. "How do you know about that?" I asked her. Her eyes closed, and she fell back asleep. I moved through the halls, asking anyone and everyone on staff who had put the jacket back in Emma's room, but no one seemed to know what I was talking about. It got to the point where I started getting strange looks. One of my colleagues asked if I was feeling okay. I wasn't. I'm still not. I went back to the room, and the jacket was gone. So then, I checked the storage room. The jacket back in the hazardous waste bag. I have no clue how it got there. I was afraid I was losing it. I was told to go home and get some rest. I didn't want to. I needed to figure out what the heck was going on. But I was basically forced to leave. I went back home. I had a couple of drinks. I just need to relax. But I stayed up all night, with thoughts of Emma and Perry. I couldn't understand how they were connected. It was proof of an afterlife. I'd seen people die over and over, and now It felt like evidence that we didn't simply cease to exist. That maybe the people I loved, someone I'd lost, might not be gone forever. My mind infected, which is why I decided to go to the house where Perry and his family were murdered. The house had sat vacant since the murders, which made it easy to slip in through the back. I used the butt of a flashlight and a rag to smash a small pane in the black. I used the butt of a flashlight and a rag to smash a small pane in the back door. When I first entered, I felt a shift. Even with the early morning light sneaking through the windows, it was dark. My chest got tight. I told myself it was because I knew what had happened in this home. I walked through the living room. The floorboards creaked every other step. I was climbing the stairs to the second level when I suddenly smelled something metallic. It made my stomach twist. It was the scent of blood filling my nostrils. Then Perry stumbled through the foyer below, bleeding profusely. In an instant he vanished, and then gunshots rang out. I sprinted up the stairs as quickly as I could, my hearing fuzzy. It felt like ice was rushing through my veins, and before I knew it, I had ducked inside a bedroom down the hallway. I'm not exactly sure how long I had been sitting in the darkened room when the closet door across from me slowly swung all the way open. It came to a stop when it bumped gently up against the wall. I could only see children's clothes hanging inside. A soft voice from inside the closet said, "Hey, come here." Then, a child's pale arm protruded out from between the hanging clothes and waved me towards the closet. There was no way I was going over there. The child whispered again, "We need to hide. Grandpa's acting weird." I was terrified both by what he said, but also the thought of moving towards the closet. I came to this house for answers, though. So I went over to the closet. I stepped right in front of it. I couldn't see past the clothes. They prevented me from seeing anything beyond them. I could either leave or wonder forever what I would find out. So I parted the hanging fabrics and crawled inside. I didn't see the boy. I looked behind me, to my left, to my right. "Hello?" I said quietly. He wasn't there. The hair stood up all over my body. I took out my phone and turned on the flashlight, and the boy appeared out of thin air, covering the light with his hand. "No," he hissed. There I sat, face to face with a ghost. "When is my mom coming back? She said we could leave after dinner." His big eyes looking up at me. I realized he was scared. "Do you know a woman named Hannah?" I asked him. The look on his face shifted. His fear vanished, replaced by a strange recognition. "You know who I'm talking about, don't you?" He stayed silent. I could tell he knew something. "She was my wife." I can't tell you how badly I wanted him to say something, and I think he was about to. Then we heard furious footsteps pounding up the stairs from below, and I snapped back to being scared. "Shh," he cut me off with a harsh whisper. He backed himself further into the closet, hiding as best as he could. His bedroom door flung open and smacked into the wall. I could barely see out from behind the clothes, but I had a sliver of a vantage point and caught sight of someone walking in. "Joshua?" An old man's voice called out. I heard a rifle being cocked. I couldn't see him anymore, but I could hear his footsteps. It felt like forever, but must have only been a few seconds when he moved back into my line of sight. He turned slowly towards the closet. "Joshua, are you in there?" He walked over to us methodically. I could hear my heartbeat thumping like a freight train. I looked to the little boy, whose eyes were shut tight. I looked back out to the room, and the old man was settled right in front of the closet. Something fell to the ground. It was dentures. The old man said something, but it was mumbled. He reached down, and his hand was covered in blistered sores. He snatched up his dentures and popped them back into his mouth, because I could understand what he said next. "Close your eyes." I looked over to the boy, and he was gone. When I turned back, the old man was standing right in front of me. The hanging clothes slid aside on their own, and the barrel of the rifle was leveled with my face. It was a split second, but I swear he was wearing the same green jacket Emma had tried to slash off herself. Then, just like that, he fired the gun. I saw the spark of the barrel and heard the crack of the chamber right before I closed my eyes tight. I felt something hot and sharp tear across my cheek. I was still screaming when I opened my eyes back up. The room was suddenly empty. The old man was gone. The silence was so complete it felt unreal. For a moment I thought maybe it hadn't happened. Then I felt it, a warm trickle sliding down my face. I touched my cheek. My fingertips came away red. Blood. My blood. This was proof. Proof that something beyond our world existed, and that jacket has something to do with it. I left, and I didn't drive home. I went back to the ER. I walked the halls to the storage room where I last saw the jacket, but it was gone. The bag it was in, empty. It must have moved, I thought. It must have gone back to Emma's room. I walked in, and she was asleep. My eyes scanned the room for the jacket. It wasn't anywhere to be seen. Emma's eyes snapped open. "Where am I?" she said. The look in her eyes was different. She looked around the room, completely lost, innocent, and scared. Then, all the lights in the ER went out. It was suddenly pitch black. The noise of panic began to swell in the room from outside. Then, I smelled smoke. Cigar smoke. It was strong. So strong that I began coughing, choking on it. The red glow of a lit cigar appeared. Its embers shed just enough light for me to make out the face of the old man where Emma had just been. The lights came back on, and it was Emma again. The innocent look in her eyes gone. It was like she was looking into my soul. "Ryan has it," she said in that gruff voice. Then she said, "I can help you talk to Hannah again." I didn't even say anything. I couldn't. I was too tempted. I would have let her go. So here I am, sitting behind the steering wheel of my car in the ER parking lot. I don't know what to do next. Do I go inside and let Emma out? Should I go find Ryan? I don't know what to do. If you don't hear from me again, it means something awful has happened. And if that's the case, let the police know that James, the ER nurse from Riverside General, is probably dead. Or worse. The end. That story was really good. I think the mark of a good story is one that leaves you with a lot of questions. Not in a bad way, and not in a way in which you understand that there was a lot of plot holes, but in a way that kind of provokes you to think. What was the problem here? What could have happened? What could have been the more that was happening? Especially with these short stories, that's why I really do enjoy them. Because each one of them is almost like a self-contained world, and you only really get each of them for 3 or 5 pages. I think it's safe to assume that the old man in the story was probably a veteran because of the military type jacket. Now, with that being said, if he was that old, grandpa age, then I'm going to take a wild guess and say he was probably in Vietnam. And with that being said, there's probably a pretty good chance that he had PTSD or some stuff unanswered or unresolved in himself because of it. Now, it would make sense to me that maybe because of this PTSD or maybe because of this anxiety, maybe he did a real good job of hiding it his whole life. But then maybe he got Alzheimer's or dementia or something that kind of altered his mental state. And so it wasn't so easy to hide that pain anymore, and he flipped out in a sense. So I think that may be what has happened. But has he come back? Is he still trying to figure out what happened to his wife? What happened to his wife? What do y'all think happened to his wife? What do you think the protagonist should do here? I think if there was anything different that the protagonist could have done, it would be, 1, let crazy stuff rest. I think we see so many movies on TV where the protagonist has plot armor to a sense, where they can go against an entire army, and it seems like they are still able to have their cool character arc and accomplish the point of the movie or the TV show or the book or the story. But I think we also need to take a step back and realize that in reality, we are very fragile, and there are very real evils out there, and there are very real things out there that could very easily kill us. So, what would I have done? Well, first off, I wouldn't have gone to the house. I wouldn't have smashed the back window. I would not have run up the stairs instead of back out the back door when I started hearing stuff. Now, another thing, if you were all the way past that and you couldn't change anything up until that point, let's say you're in the closet, there's a reason why in TV shows, if somebody is holding someone else hostage using a gun, it's very unintelligent to be very close to the hostage with the gun. If someone has a rifle barrel pointed right at your forehead and they are close enough that it's just about touching you, I'm not saying you have a faster reaction time, but what I am saying is if you have absolutely no other options, it's not a bad option to move out of the way and at the same time grab the barrel and push it the other way from the way that you've just moved your head. Now, if you have both of these arms on this barrel, now the protagonist is what I'm going to assume is an adult male. That means they're probably at least somewhat strong. Now, an adult female, probably somewhat strong as well, from an old man. So, grab the barrel, move it away from you, try and maybe pull it towards you a little bit, and then shove it back towards him to make him lose his balance, then run back out, down the stairs, and out the door. I wouldn't wait for the whole cutscene of getting grazed by a bullet on my cheek and all that. Now, if I saw that the old man had retaken possession of the girl in the hospital, that'd be awful, for sure. I would probably try and beg for forgiveness. I'd probably try and beg for forgiveness at every point in this story. One, I think the biggest change that I would have done is I wouldn't have lied to the old dude in the beginning. I wouldn't have said she's going to make it if she very clearly wasn't. Now, with that being said, there's other things you could have said to allude to, oh, okay, it's going to be okay, right? But you don't have to say, oh yeah, she's going to make it out alive, or something to the effect of that. You can comfort someone and not just lie to them. And I think if someone is a nurse for X amount of time, so long, like this protagonist, they hopefully would know that. Hopefully wouldn't just be lying to people. If for nothing else, then to just not have evil spirits latch onto you, right? So first change, don't lie. Second change, do not go to the house. Third change, grab the rifle. Don't wait for the cutscene. Fourth change, just ask for forgiveness. So I think the moral of the story here is, again, very similar to yesterday. Understand your limits. Understand that you are a human being with thoughts and feelings and emotions and desires and dreams. And in a very small, short instant, that could just be gone. We are really only here for a speck of time. And I think a lot of us have this desire to explore and do amazing things and be the main character. And that's great and all, but you also have to understand you have limitations. And sometimes if you push them too hard, or if you try and be the main character too much, you will realize that you do not have the same plot armor that you have seen so much in your life. You will realize that you are very fragile and very small in comparison to a lot of the evil and good works that are going on in the world. Another lesson that I would take away from this is don't lie. As much as you can throughout your life, don't lie. Religious or not, morality or not, don't lie. If for no other reason than a selfish reason. It will put you into holes that are so hard to fill up later. With all that being said, if you made it this far in the video, I appreciate you so much. I appreciate your views. I appreciate you all liking and commenting. Thank you all. Once again, I'm Cece. If you enjoyed today's video, because of how small my channel is, the odds of it coming across your recommended videos again is small. So please, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to subscribe for more daily content. I am trying to get to 100 subscribers before the end of the year, and I would love your help in doing so. I love you all. Goodbye.